aren't the special, which we already had.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Ready? Okay, I'd like to call the Committee of the Whole meeting for June 23rd to order. Several items on the agenda tonight. The first item is approval of the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes of May 19th. You all should have had those meetings transmitted to you. Does anybody have any adjustments, modifications, additions to those meeting minutes? Seeing none, can we get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is an ordinance to accept a donation of 48 cases of Gatorade to the fire department. This is from the Public Health and Safety Committee. Ms. Michael?
Yes, as you see, we also have the same followed by number 3. There is no cost, and we are very thankful that whoever donated, thank you. It's very well thought to be used well, and that's all, really, nothing to talk about. I would say this would be a perfect item for a consent agenda, so,
Take the Gatorade and run.
yeah, let's take the Gatorade and run.
Okay, any questions or concerns? What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Would you-
Consent.
In consent agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Next item is an ordinance to accept a donation of 48 cases of Gatorade to the police department.
No additional comment.
Pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance, consent.
Consent agenda, okay. Next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for the school resource officer, and this is also from Public Health and Safety, Ms. Michael?
Yes, this is a needed position that we do split with the school. No changes other than the cost. Yeah, the cost went up some. But other than that, it's a needed position, and the city is happy that we support it. So I'm okay with it. I definitely am not against it, and I don't know if anyone else has any discussion on it, but we did talk about it in committee. It's a needed position. We need more, actually.
I agree.
Any other comments or concerns? What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Would you like to place this on the consent agenda?
Consent.
Yes.
Yes.
Next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into contracts for the water line project. It's from Utilities Committee, Mr. Moskin.
Yeah, the water line project will consist of Central, part of Freedom, Spruce, and Walnut. Part of it would be, consists of water, when I say water, water line, valves, hydrants. And part of that would be replacing sidewalks where needed, where what I just previously mentioned would be disturbing a sidewalk, which I know it does happen in certain areas. This is, I would consider this a necessity and something that needs to be started as soon as it can.
Are there questions or concerns about this? What's the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Would you like to place this on the consent agenda?
I
Sure.
would say yes.
Next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to solicit bids and appropriate $1.3 million for a new SCADA system. Mr. Moskin, this is also utilities.
Okay. This SCADA system is 20 years old. There are many parts pertaining to this that are totally obsolete and cannot even be fabricated. This is a very critical system to the wastewater treatment plant. This is something that's very critical in their operations.
Questions or concerns?
This is for like the remote monitoring, automation, and just efficiency enhancements for the plan, correct?
In very general terms, yes.
Okay.
I could
thank
go
you.
into a lot more detail with it if needed, but yes.
Okay,
In
just wanted to
visiting-
clarify that.
In visiting the wastewater plant, treatment plant, I believe there are sensors placed in various places, and so they interface
Several.
with this system, and it automates the monitoring of them. And I think it also provides the ability for not to have staff on site.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
And it's in existence, it's just woefully outdated. Correct?
I think that's an
By-
accurate characterization from the
by far.
presentation,
I think it's still running Windows 7, if I remember what he...
which has since been retired, so.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
I'm going to suggest we not put this in the consent agenda just because of the amount
Correct.
included here. All right, the next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with JBL Roofing and Construction. This is from Planning Committee. Ms. West?
And this is for the roof replacement for the annex garage. JBL Roofing and Construction was the lowest bid, and the cost of the project is below the allocated budget and the $75,000 threshold for bidding, but they still got bids for it.
Yeah. Any questions or concerns? It's the pleasure of the committee.
Ordinance.
Ordinance.
Would you like to place this in the consent agenda?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement for the Foster Grandparent Program. Ms. West, this is planning as well?
And this is a program through the AmeriCorps Senior Volunteer Program. They are going to be helping out with some of the kiddos at camp, not replacing any of the positions at camp, but just volunteering and helping out. And this is at no cost to the city.
Questions, concerns? What's the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Consent?
Put this in the consent
Yeah,
agenda?
this is
I think so.
Okay, moving along. The next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept and appropriate $376,100 for the CHIP program. This is from Community and Economic Development. Ms. Wood?
Yes. These are actually number 9 and 10 are both authorizing the mayor to accept and appropriate funding for the CHIP program. The city of Ravenna is the administrative entity for the program, and it includes Portage County and the city of Streetsboro. I believe it was 1.2 million was the total amount of the CHIP grant that was awarded for full housing rehab and home repairs to owner-occupied units throughout those areas. And this is just accepting and appropriating the funding so they could start working on people's homes.
Could you just briefly, I know we'll get to the next item, but there's different amounts and there's two different focuses for the funds, correct?
Yes, so one of the funds is out of the home funds, and that is for full rehab renovations. That's where they can go up to $60,000 per unit to renovate, to bring the home to healthy, safe, sanitary conditions. It is not a cosmetic fix. And then the other program is out of the Community Development Block Grant Funds, and I believe that is up to about $22,000, and that is for 1 or 2 large item repairs, hot water tank, furnace, roof, as long as it doesn't really hit lead-based paint issues.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
explaining this. Okay, for number 9, any other questions or comments? What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Would you like to place this in the
Consent.
consent
Yes.
agenda?
Yes.
Number 10 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept and appropriate $424,752 for the CHIP program, as already explained. Do we have any other questions or concerns about this? The pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Also in the consent agenda?
Yes.
Next item is an ordinance to approve the 2026 tax budget. This is from our finance director, Ms. Lawrence.
Yes, this is our annual 2026 tax budget that we have to get through every July to count to the county. I sent out the details to everybody. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look through or has any specific questions. So we did work with all the departments, trying to, it's kind of hard to estimate for 2026. So we try and copy over the budgets for what, is appropriate. We've added in a small increase in a few items, but mostly everything has stayed consistent, except for payroll, of course. We're going to be looking at negotiations, so we are going to have a higher payroll next year. We estimated that at about 5%, being a 3-year contract. We thought that was probably pretty conservative going into negotiations. And then we looked at the revenues. Revenues we held kind of conservative also, and just kept that at basically what we're seeing this year, not knowing where we're going to be going with our economy and the world that's going on right now. So we kept that kind of steady till we see what's happening there. Does anybody have any specific questions?
No, it's okay, I'll wait.
Yeah, and if not, this needs to be approved by the meeting on the 7th, so we can get it to the county by the 20th.
The commission did meet a couple of weeks
Yes.
ago. And just one point to note, typically every year now, both Main Street Ravenna and the Chamber of Commerce come before council to formally request funding. We've included the same amount as last year. I believe is it 25 or 30,000? I always get confused.
30,000.
30,000 each. So we will be expecting them to come probably December or so. But we've already incorporated that funding in the budget. Won't need to be appropriated at that time.
Correct?
I do have a question. With the Rockfest now not going to be under the chamber, will that change anything, like with the amount that normally when they would ask for money, that was part of the funding that was covered on the $30,000? There were fees and stuff associated with the Rockfest. I just wondered if there's been any changes or updates with that, if we're gonna like help anybody else in our downtown, like as far as, with some of the events that are going on.
Nothing planned.
Okay.
I don't know if the mayor has anything.
Because the Rockfest really brought a lot of people, and I think that, another group is running it, and, they needed some help in getting it started, so I would hate to see that go away. Anyways, I just was wondering, with the amounts that are asked, I know they needed help with the bathrooms, and that is something that I was hoping that, that we could help at least do for the Rockfest. So anyways, that's all.
I don't know, we have an answer to that.
Yeah,
I don't know
no.
who's running the Ravenna Rocks Festival. But certainly if someone wants to request something, they can come before council, and we certainly would consider it. Okay, any other questions about the tax budget? What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Would you like to place this in the consent agenda or
Consent.
regular?
Consent.
Consent? Okay. Next item is an ordinance authorizing the execution of then and now certificates, also from the finance director, Ms. Lawrence.
Hi, yes, this is our monthly then and now POs that we're approving, over 3,000. This marks the year point that we've been doing this for a year now. So I am going to follow up with the departments again with some emails to make sure they're doing the proper thing. And my goal has been to not have any of these that come to council each month. There's always only a few, but I think I only have 1 month where there wasn't something that I had to bring. So that's my goal for this next year, but just need to keep in compliance and have this passed each month.
Questions or concerns about this item?
Just one.
Sure.
For the disposal service, for the community cleanup, I'm assuming that was just broken apart for the two different funds it was coming from for
Yes.
sourcing?
Yes.
Okay. And fun fact, based on the pricing that we paid for, that meant that approximately 21 transit buses worth of refuse was taken out of our community. So empty passenger buses, about 35 feet.
That doesn't include all the pickers that
That
went
didn't
through.
include the stuff
it
that
doesn't,
came
you know.
before, yeah.
Thank you for noting that. Are there any questions or concerns about this item? What is the pleasure of the committee?
Ordinance.
Place this in the consent agenda also?
Consent.
Yes.
Okay, so the last item on our agenda is the liquor permit hearing that is now scheduled for July 23rd. If you recall, January, I believe? I'm trying to remember exactly when council voted to request a hearing. Now, it's ironic, if you look in your packet, you'll see it's a virtual hearing through Microsoft Teams. When we filled out the form that they sent us, we could request a hearing either in Columbus or in our county seat. Why, when it's a virtual hearing, I'll never know. We requested as in the county seat, but it will be virtual. Do you know how we can share this information, or were we planning on having a public showing of it here? We can do, there's a link that can be shared. Okay. Yeah, the public is allowed certainly to watch this, but unless you're called as a witness or representing as a lawyer, or you're the applicant for this liquor license, it doesn't allow for public comment, just anybody mentioning. All right, so I put this on the agenda because back in, I believe, January, approximately at least, that's when council voted to request this hearing. So now, and Mr. Semino is here, prepared to represent the city in this hearing. I just wanted to have a short discussion about what are the concerns that we want to communicate to Mr. Semino so he can represent those concerns at the hearing.
Well, we've talked about this immensely, multiple times. Right now, there is a school next to it. And that is, right now, my concern. We removed the light there. There's the area itself, there's multiple already established places where you can buy alcohol.
Yeah, less than a couple hundred feet.
Yeah,
memory
and
serves.
I just think we are trying to set higher standards in our community, and this is not, to me, a standard that we want next to our school. I just, if the school changes and something else happens, that's one thing, but right now, as it stands, the school is still there, and to me, that should be number one reason. If we're able to stop it, I just think the perception of it and the types of things that are sold there, it's not economic development.
Yeah, and I think that was a big part of it, too, from the discussions we had, because our requirement was if we were to approve it, it would have been part of an economic project.
Wrong
Conflating-
permit.
That
This
was
is a
the
different
original.
one.
So historically, the mini mart, which is the subject of this particular liquor license, tried to get a Trex license. That required it to be
An economic.
an
project.
economic development project.
And it's not.
And it required the city to approve of that license for it to go forward. Council did not approve of that, and it did not go forward. Subsequently, a new liquor license opened up, because we all discussed this, there's only a fixed number of certain types of licenses. And so this license, this application is for one of those free licenses,
license,
which does
okay.
not allow the city to summarily vote on it, and it does not have to be an economic development project. So those issues are really not debatable when it comes to this hearing. I think the school
The school
is
and the
certainly-
neighbors, I do, there are neighbors that live across the street that is a homeowner. They just, feel that it depreciates their home value. They just don't, like that type of store in their area. So,
Just let me say that
that's what I'm saying.
I did bring some analysis of what the hearing entails and what the expectations are. I'm not so sure that those would qualify as legitimate concerns for objection. The school, I think, certainly does. It's ironic, the number of licenses, I think, could be an issue. Like if there was a congested set of liquor licenses like this in a certain area, but ironically, this is a no-sum game, because we lost a business, the Circle K out to the west.
But that's a township.
That's-
That's not,
yes.
Well, I know, but I mean, if you're talking about within a certain
that wouldn't even affect
vicinity,
No.
it's like the same numbers of liquor licenses are there. Anyway, other concerns, if any, that council have, just to help Mr. Semino when he has to give his presentation.
Not a concern right now, just a little bit of a sidelight. If you recall, I was asking some questions about how many we have and do we fill all of them. And I wanted to thank Brian for sending me some information from the state, a chart which actually lists all of the licenses, how many we have allotted and how many we have filled. Now, from that information, I didn't bring it with me tonight and haven't been able to thoroughly go through all of it, but there are multiple categories in which we have a license available. And I didn't realize how many different licenses there were. Well, one license to sell beer and wine, but another one to sell beer, wine, and spirits, and another one to serve beer and wine, another one to serve it but let you carry it out too. So many different, I think there was at least 7 different types of licenses that there were in the city. So, and like, as you say, this is one that is in a category that's open, and there's one available, so.
Yeah, I mean, at least we can, I mean, at least I can go on record stating how I
Absolutely.
feel. And right now, with the school being right next door, I'm on record saying that I do not support it.
Well, the council as a whole has
yeah.
indicated that it does,
Right.
that it objects to the
Everyone has their own
license.
feelings.
So that's, I mean, that's a vote that has already taken place. This is just a discussion to help Mr. Semino identify the specific items that, you know, constitute that objection. Are there other things that council wishes to communicate to whoever's holding the hearing?
Are you saying that the number of license in a certain geographic area, a complaint cannot be made about the number if the number falls within
No.
what's allotted in the
No,
city?
What I'm saying is, I believe it would be a legitimate concern if there was, if a new license came up in an area that had a congested number of liquor licenses already, and if there was a concern that that might be a safety issue because there was just a proliferation of licenses in a small area, things like that.
Well, we have the drive-through across the street, we have the K down the street.
And we have
We have-
the
Family Dollar across.
Dollar across the street.
Family
There's another
Dollar.
Family Dollar further on down the
Yeah,
west.
so there's like 5 places in just a couple blocks.
What I was saying, at the time we were considering this license initially, there was still even another.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Circle K. And what I'm saying is, when I mentioned it was a zero-sum game and that license is no longer there, it may be in a
Yeah,
township, but
I
it's-
would, I would offer that we could make an objection on the density of the
Okay.
licenses in that area.
all right, so.
I'd probably
call
have
as a
to,
witness.
I'd probably have to figure out what all the licenses are beforehand.
You can do that.
Call me up.
Amy, you can talk about the school.
Yeah, I
call
have
me
to
up.
apologize too. The 23rd of July, I will be on my way out the Pacific to see my son, if everything, depending on what is going to happen. So I will not, depending on where I am time-wise, I will not be able to, I don't know if I can get Wi-Fi in the air or not, but I will not be able to be on for that meeting.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was, for some reason, I was thinking it was this Wednesday. So I don't know where I got that.
It's in July.
It's in July. But I'm going out to see my son, so,
Yeah, there's no.
Well, I mean, bottom line is, they're not going to accept just the argument that this is a problem. They want witnesses to testify, grounds to say that these are issues that we want to present to you to consider in not approving the license.
and my ticket was purchased prior to this, so, sorry.
Whatever.
I'm not changing.
You're obviously going to see your son. And I'm just saying that we
Absolutely.
need people, bodies, that are going to be able to testify as far as whatever the grounds are we want to allege. So,
A question for you, Frank. Would that body be willing to take a statement or an affidavit from Amy on that behalf, or
I
they're
think
looking
what's going to
for?
happen is, it's just like a hearing, you know, the other side has the opportunity to cross-examine. They have an opportunity to talk to that witness and challenge them as far as what their statements are.
Okay.
Can it be a
The idea of
community?
affidavits would not be sufficient.
Can it be a community member? It has to be a council person?
No, it could be anybody as long as they're called as a witness.
If your neighbors want to come and testify, that's fine.
Okay.
If you know of anybody who has a strong objection that would like to testify, have them contact Mr. Semino.
Okay. But yeah, I won't be around.
Amy mentioned what I was going to say, so I wasn't going to repeat the exact same thing.
Okay, okay. Anybody else?
You want to
Oh, you want to
testify?
testify?
I can,
Sure. Okay.
because I just didn't want to repeat exactly what she said.
Okay, cool.
Well, she's not going to be saying it. So
Okay.
it's all yours.
Okay.
No redundancy there.
I think Tim would like to go.
Jim, do you want to talk about the density?
Density.
You do your research and present that.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify? And again, it doesn't have to be,
Wait.
Cliff, I think Cliff does.
yes, sir, you're fine to testify. No problem. Cliff, what would you like to talk about? What area would you like to touch? Or if you want to review some of the ones? Part of school, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that helps Mr. Semino prepare for the hearing. Are there any other concerns about this item? Just a short announcement before we adjourn. I will be on vacation for the July 7th meeting. Will you be here, Ms. Michael?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Now, unless there's another, I think somebody else,
I
you may not
probably
be. So
won't.
unless there's a lack of a majority of a quorum, we can hold the meeting. Certainly, I don't count towards a quorum. So be prepared to hold the meeting unless you don't have a quorum, and then we can adjourn it for some other night.
Okay, I have no problem.
All right, thank you so much for doing that
I'll be
for me.
gone for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, you'll be,
Through July 10th.
okay, okay. Well, we'll see who
Harper
shows
should
up
be
on
back.
July 7th.
Are you gone?
I'll be here, but you're talking about voting.
Yeah, the 7th. Anybody else going to be gone? Okay.
Sounds like you have a quorum. then. All right, then, and there's only going to be one item on the agenda. Everything else is in the consent
I mean,
agenda.
if I need to be gone.
All right, so is everything okay? Everybody, no?
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
We are adjourned. We will commence or
Reconvene.
reconvene the special meeting to go to an executive session. Why don't we have the vote to go to executive session?
Do you need a motion for that?
Let me just say officially, we are now reconvening the special meeting that we started earlier tonight. Could we get a motion to go into an executive session? You want to?
Certainly. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to executive session in accordance with 121.22G3 for the purpose of conferring with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject of pending or imminent court action.
Second.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfi?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
There will be no other items on our special meeting agenda, so we will adjourn right after we come back from executive session.